this is Reki. I've been playing a lot of Project Zomboid lately. It's a game that I really like because not only does it have a zombie fighting mechanic, but it also has a building mechanic, and a lot of it is customizable. About 80 to 90% of it is customizable. A little bit less customizable when you're playing a solo game than if you're running a server. On the server side, you can dig into different settings and really tweak everything to the way you like it and the way your players like it the most. A little less customizable at the solo level, but you can still customize quite a lot. So you can have everything from a full building experience with no zombies to a zombie fighting experience with no building at all. But the game does have a really great crafting mechanic, and as a friend of mine pointed out last night, it's really easy to level a crafting skill up to the maximum if you know how to do it, but that doesn't necessarily teach you how to use that crafting skill as a player. And particularly the mechanics panel can be quite intimidating, and there are multiple ways of getting in and out of the crafting interfaces. So I thought I'd do a series of videos on various different things that have come up, and just to kick us off, I wanted to talk about one of the mods that I'm using because it can be a little confusing when people try to tackle it for the first time. So the mod that I'm going to talk about today is called ZuperCart version 1.08. And in earlier versions of Project Zomboid, this particular mod had an issue with item duplication. And it's not the only one. Viperell's Recycling Center also had an issue with item duplication. Specifically, the spare parts and the vehicle recycling would duplicate parts when you dismantled vehicles, and those parts were not actually real. They were phantom and they would just take up space, but when you went to use them, they wouldn't work, and it would seem like things were actually disappearing from your inventory, except those things never really existed to begin with. So it seems like in the current version that ZuperCart appears to be working. I'm on version 4.1.71 of Project Zomboid, and I think this is the rollout of the last patch, so maybe that's fixed a few things. We're going to go into my personal save game. I do help run a server, and sometimes I'll do a clip from a server side issue, but it's a little easier to sandbox from my solo game than it is to do it from the server with players on and off of it. So this on the ground here is one of the carts that you can get with the ZuperCart mod. There are two kinds. There's this one, which is actually a shopping cart, and I don't know if you can see it real well because it's laying on its side, but it's, you know, the handle is here and here's the wheels, and it's just a typical metal mesh basket that you'd find in a supermarket. The other kind that you can get is called a trolley. It's got a vertical handle and a flatbed, and you can just load anything on it. I think they both hold the same amount of goods, and there's really no difference. They will both do this weirdness where they lay on their side when you put them down. I don't know why that happens. It's one of the rare things about this particular mod that I don't really like, but there it is. When you first find them, you'll find them in factories or supermarkets or warehouses, and they're usually on shelves. And what you're going to want to do, and unfortunately I can't show you this at the moment, is you'll find them in the inventory on the shelves, and what you'll do is you'll just drag them into your inventory, or you'll right click them and you'll select take cart, and it'll show up in your inventory. However, once you have put them down on the ground, that option no longer becomes available. The way you pick them up and you use them is by walking towards them, and as you can see, I'm close enough that when I'm focused on my inventory panel, the cart is showing up as if it's a bag sitting on the ground, And if I look at the ground, you can actually see the cart here. And my options are only to equip the cart or place the cart. So you can try to place it where you want it. That's the part of using the cart that used to have the duplication bug. You used to place it and you'd actually place an item but still retain the cart in your hands. So you'd wind up with multiple copies of the cart and it would cause all kinds of issues. But if you want to pick the cart up and use it, you just select equip in both hands, and as you can see now it has righted and I'm able to push it along. And moving with it is a little strange because it basically follows the direction that your character is facing, and it can seem like it pulls in one direction or another depending on what you're doing. So it takes a little bit of getting used to driving the cart around. The cart is extremely useful for moving large amounts of goods back and forth. And the reason is that the only way you could move this amount of material would be to hold in your hands 2 other bags. The cart is going to hold anywhere from 49 to 63 pounds of items, depending on whether or not you have the organized trait. If you don't have the organized trait, it will default to the minimum, which is 49 pounds. And if you have the organized trait, you'll get the bump up because you can pack the cart better. And they simulate that by increasing the capacity of any container that you are putting items into. That also works for the truck. I don't know if you can see the truck right here, but see how it's holding 851 pounds at a maximum. For people without the organized trait, this truck only holds between, I think, 699 and 720, something like that. I don't have the exact numbers in front of me, but you get the idea. So the way you use it is you continue holding it and it shows up here in your inventory as if it's another bag. And you just drag whatever you want into it. And as soon as it's full, then you can walk away pushing the items wherever you want them. And the nice thing about it is that you're holding, you know, up to 63 pounds of stuff, but it's not affecting your actual inventory amount. See how my inventory is 17 pounds out of 16? That's because the cart is on the ground. So in order to carry this amount of stuff, you'd normally have to carry 2 bags, one in each of your hand. And as you can see, the cart over here takes up both my primary hand and my secondary hand. And if I were carrying 2 bags, they would be affecting my inventory weight. But because the cart is on the ground, it doesn't affect my inventory weight. However, oops, didn't mean to do that. What it does do is take up space in both of your hands at the same time so that you cannot hold a weapon at the same time. And as you can see, I have my weapon down here in the hotbar because it's attached to my back, but I'm not currently holding it. However, if I want to hot swap to it, I will automatically, if I hit 1 and it's on the bar, I will automatically switch to it and drop the cart. So that's a really nice feature that as long as you have the weapon on the hot bar, you can drop the cart automatically. You don't have to do it in 2 steps. However, if I try to do it from here, I'm not even sure if will this work? It will work. Okay, and it'll still drop the cart automatically. But that takes a little bit more time than doing it on the hot bar. So personally, I don't usually take the cart outside of the compound. I find it useful for dragging equipment around. If you're outside and there's a horde of zombies, you can run with the cart. The animation is the same, but as I'm hitting the sprint button, you can see I'm going a bit faster. So you can get away from zombies, but then in order to drop the cart, you either have to drop it using this menu over here, or you auto drop it by swapping to your weapon. And the reason I recommend you using this menu is because if you try to drop it from the inventory panel, it won't work. See how I'm still holding it? Yeah, I selected drop, but I can't drop it. For whatever reason, the inventory panel menus do not work. If I drop it here, I'm putting it down. Now if I go up to it and I try to equip it in both hands from this inventory panel menu, you can see she's standing there like a lump doing nothing. It doesn't work. You actually have to be focused on the floor in order to equip it. So let's go over that one more time so you guys know how it works. Fill it by shoving stuff into it. Drop it by either equipping your weapon in some way, which drops the cart automatically, or by coming over to where your hands are and selecting drop, and it'll put it down. And as you can see, it puts it down with everything loaded in it, because right now in the inventory bar I'm actually focused on the cart. It treats the cart like a bag, so you can access it on the ground and you can drag stuff in and out of it if you want automatically, which makes it extremely useful for building or carpentry, that sort of thing, where you want to move around a lot of planks. To pick the cart back up, you have to select the floor and equip it from where it lies on the floor and not from the inventory bar. Another thing to know about this particular conveyance, and I'm pretty sure the trolley works the exact same way, is that you can actually take it upstairs, which I found extremely useful when trying to move a lot of planks around. As you can see, I already had a cart up here. I accidentally duplicated once, so I have 2 carts now. And I used it to dump planks up here because I was building the ceiling for all of these buildings. And then if I drop this one will be up here too. So that's all I have to say about the ZuperCarts mod. I think it's a great mod. It's lightweight. It doesn't seem to affect anything else. I haven't had any issues or bugs with it other than this weirdness with it being on its side. You may or may not have the placement error depending on which version of the mod you have and which version of Project Zomboid you're running, but I'd be interested in hearing your comments. What do you think about this? I feel like it's an excellent little mod and one that a lot of people haven't really talked about or found. So let me know. Take care. Bye-bye.